it over? Oh, it's over. Let me tell you about something that happened back in 1977. Let's rewind the clock for a few minutes. Mr. Contest Chairman, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. I came to Florida with an overachiever attitude. And by overachiever, my fellow Toastmasters, I was a chain smoker. On sort of a good day, I'd have 2 packs a day. And being an overachiever, I went up to 3 packs every weekend. I finally quit. Make a long story short, all of a sudden I realized, wow, I got a lot of time on my hands. Any of you that have smoked will recognize the fact you have to have something in your hand smoking. So I said, well, why not do something a little more healthy? And about that time you heard the shouts of, run, Forrest, run! The running craze had started back in the 70s. You remember that? Mm-hmm. I decided I was going to partake in that because I had so much free time. I entered the heart run in Fort Lauderdale in Holiday Park. I don't know how long most of you have been here, but that's a long time ago. It was 7 miles, an odd distance. I finished in about an hour. As I mentioned, I'm an overachiever. I'm a compulsive person. 7 miles. Hey, let's up the ante a little bit. Let's do 10. Let's do a half marathon. Let's do a full marathon. And before long, I was doing the full 26.2 miles. That still wasn't quite enough. There's always that goal of the Boston Marathon. It started in 1896, the oldest continuous marathon in America. I was going to do it. Took me a few years, but about 10 years ago, I was towing the line in Hopkinton, Massachusetts, a real small town, 26.2 miles outside of downtown Boston. And the gun went off, kaboom! Nobody moved. Oh, except the front runners, they were like a mile ahead of us. But it was so tightly packed, nobody moved for about 5 minutes. But things started moving along. And I said, wow, this is great. You know, they said Boston's a hard course. I was having a great time. It was going downhill. All right, I'll live with that. But, my fellow Toastmasters, there's always something in our way, isn't there? Heartbreak Hill in this case. Heartbreak Hill. That's the crucible for the top runner. Thinking he's got a great race going now until about the 20-mile mark. All of a sudden, oh, this is not a good place, but a big, steep, giant hill. I kind of forgot about it myself, saying, this is great, you know, who cares about Heartbreak Hill? And I heard this sound, though, all of a sudden, about 10 miles or so into the race, I heard this baleful wail, like the sirens of Ulysses. I don't know what was that all about. And then it occurred to me, the co-eds of Wellesley College were out there cheering the runners on Patriots Day that day. I said, yeah, I'm looking good, I'm feeling good. So maybe that wasn't 100% true, because what happened next, those hills started kicking in. They start rolling in insidious hills. You notice them right away, and all of a sudden they get steeper and steeper and steeper until about the 18-mile mark. I said, okay, all right, I'm not sure I can do this. Maybe it wasn't such a great idea. You know, I said I was at Boston. I made it to Boston. Who's going to know? Unless I checked the newspaper. I didn't finish. I think that's enough. But, you know, then I heard the smell. I had this smell. It was sort of an odoriferous, rank smell. what is that? I recognized it. Stale beer. I looked up. I saw fraternity row in Boston College. All the frat brothers were out there tipping beer on Patriots Day. Hey, bro, looks like you need a beer. I said, yeah, I think I do need a beer. I kept going. And the heartbreak hill I had that day was getting over that hill. Just like we have heartbreak hills in our life. If you want to overcome it, by golly, you will. Put yourself against the test. Test yourself. Anyway, I got to the top. And all of a sudden I was going down again. Course went left. Course went right. Went back and forth until I could finally see the digital clock on downtown Boston at Copley Square. Oh, I really sprinted across that line. Well, you know, it felt like a sprint to me. The videotape didn't look exactly like a sprint, but my fellow Toastmasters and guests, this is not just about a sports event. Far from it, my fellow Toastmasters. This is about achieving a goal which took 20 years, took a voluminous amount of my time, the dedication to say, yes, I finished Boston with respect, and yes, I conquered Heartbreak Hill. Mr. Contest Chair.